We're back.
Yeah.
Are we?
Okay, so let's
Yes.
just keep on going. Sony's conference. This seemed to be the general favorite among people.
It's my topic.
Yeah, probably same here.
It was my favorite.
Mostly because they, aside from like a very few couple seconds here and there, it was just straight game trailer after game trailer after game trailer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there was. I will commend Sony for cutting out the BS. That was a great move because they didn't. Oh, what was a waste of? I was gonna say they didn't waste any time, but what was a waste of time was that goddamn orchestra at the beginning, with the creepiest goddamn conductor I've ever seen in my life. It seemed extraneous to have the orchestra there because I know that they were playing God of War music, but I am not familiar with God of War at all. Was that like the main theme of the series or something that would
No,
be...
it wasn't. It was something completely new.
Okay.
I thought it was Kingdom Hearts at first.
Yeah, because here's the thing. If they were
all
playing...
guessing what it was.
If they were playing something recognizable, like if they were showing off Final Fantasy VII and they were playing like the Final Fantasy opening theme on the orchestra, that would be a good way to start the conference. But, I mean, it was a decent song except for the part where the woman like had a stroke
Was
on
spazzing the hell out.
on her microphone.
That was amazing.
Hey, we are now finally getting the beatboxing section of orchestras now. We're replacing the triangle.
Yeah, but that was my like the evil theme music because Sony's the final boss of E3 now. For all of the people who came on stage, I loved that. It's just it was like a 5-minute orchestra piece for something that we didn't recognize. So it was more confusing to me than hype building.
Well, I think if they played a recognizable piece of God of War, it would have gave away with the
well,
first
no,
game
that would have
bit.
been. I think that's the point, though. Like you play something and people are like, oh, they're playing God of War music. Is it a new God of War game? And then that builds up the excitement instead of playing something completely random. And then
No, I think it worked better that God of War was revealed this way because it took us all by surprise.
Yeah, because ultimately, it's not like when the trailer started up, we immediately saw Kratos. It was, we heard a similar-ish voice, but, you can't, voice acting, it all kind of sounds the same. You start with the boy, and then, he's talking about hunting, and then, boom, Kratos out of nowhere.
Yeah, at first I was like, it's Horizon Zero Dawn.
Nope, Kratos.
Yeah.
That's how different this is. Yeah.
I have to say,
I'm glad they're trying something different with the series.
Yeah, I am too. I haven't played any of the God of War games, and this just... I feel like I am seriously interested in playing at least this game, because there's something about... It's a combination of the environments looking gorgeous, the even just the little bit of the dynamic we saw between Kratos and this boy,
They made Kratos an actual character again.
Yeah, I don't know. There was something about it that captured my attention in a way that the previous games just didn't really. So
Also, we're finally getting out of the really overused Greek mythology.
oh yeah, the
Norse.
Norse mythology is way more interesting than Greek mythology. Just in general. So
I enjoyed what God of War was able to do with the Greek pantheon.
Oh, you mean the stuff?
Well,
oh, you mean the members of the Greek pantheon that Kratos got to do? Bow, 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 bow.
yes, but I don't know. For what God of War did originally before this game, I still really enjoyed it, and it's a series I still love to go back to when I got the spare time. That said, I don't know if this is supposed to be a reboot.
Yeah, that wasn't clear if it was a reboot or a sequel.
I don't think it's a sequel.
Because I don't know how. I know the answer is obviously video game logic, but how do you jump from Greek to Norse mythology without drastically altering the universe?
Not to have. Now, I'm not super familiar with God of War gameplay, but was it just me or did the gameplay seem less frenetic than?
Yeah,
it's nothing alike.
It was slower, much more deliberate, and much more kind of in your face about what was going on.
A lot of people threw around Last of Us.
Yeah,
a
little bit.
Well,
Yeah.
the relationship between the grizzled veteran and the young kid obviously screams Last of Us for sure.
Yeah. And maybe that's why, the environments had a similar amount of like natural beauty to some of the overgrown areas in The Last of Us. So maybe I really liked what The Last of Us. So maybe that's part of it, is why I feel like this game is striking a chord for me in ways that the previous ones didn't. But I think this was a bold move, and it was a great way to open the conference. And I think, yeah, Sony definitely got my interest with this one. So
That kid is a massive fuck up.
dude, that kid. he shot Kratos in the shoulder.
You know, most people who shoot Kratos with an arrow don't have their arms anymore.
Although, interestingly, they confirmed later that there is a button to manipulate the kids. So, yes, you can literally now press X to Jason.
Yeah, there's a button. They went out of their way to specifically say there's a button dedicated to your son. And, you know what's funny? A lot of people thought Heavy Rain first. I, for some reason, thought Luigi's Mansion.
Mario!
Where he just
Mario!
Mario! I'll send you back to the depths of Hades!
No, hell. H-E-L. This is Norse.
That's right. Yeah, this is Norse.
Yeah, so, again, I don't play God of War. This definitely looked the most interesting out of all the God of Wars, because it seemed less immature, I think is the big thing. Like, God of War...
Yeah.
God of War kind of always seemed like a 90s Image Comics kind of thing to some degree, where,
it was.
Oh, this really angry Greek guy is going to beat up the Greek gods, and it's awesome, rah. This had a lot more... It was much more grounded.
I agree, but goddamn does it look fantastic.
Oh, the graphics. Well, are you talking about the graphics for the new God of War or the old games?
Well, I mean,
when they came out,
when they came out, like, because I agree with the sense of immaturity with how God of War progresses as a story, and how it's more about the spectacle really than character development and all that. But Jesus Christ, does it look great? I still love going back to God of War 3 and all the like big ass climactic moments with all the way you kills every single god. I understand it's not deep, it's not enriching, but it's
not trying to be.
No, it's eye candy, and I love it. That said, I agree. This looks to be a more fulfilling sort of Kratos in terms of character arcs and development. So, it's different, but as a God of War fan, I'm interested to see where this goes. So, I'm gonna go.
'Cause, I mean, ultimately, the series kind of got really samey after a while, so it's kind of like, okay, this is a nice, refreshing change.
They fucking push God of War. I mean, not God of War, Call of Duty, and sports games every year. You know, Pokemon, another case. You know, I don't. As long as it's fun, I don't really care. But I'm still interested to see where this goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So, okay, so after...
Ride to Redemption sequel.
I thought that too.
Oh, Days
we
Gone.
were all joking, Matt.
This is the most generic-looking game I've ever seen out of anything in the conference. And for some...
Hey, Last of Us was good. Let's do that again.
This is... if Last of Us is Rice Krispies, Days Gone is crisp rice cereal. And... here's...
With a fuckload of sugar.
Yeah, here's the problem with it is that it looked really generic. They show it second, so it's like, okay, they're throwing something throwaway after God of War, which got everybody's attention. Fine. But then at the end of the conference, they show gameplay of it in order to... And it's just... You end your conference with this, the really generic-looking zombie game.
It was a weird ending, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, that guy... I swear that guy must have had the boss's headband on, because he had, like, infinite ammo.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
It had none of the menace that, like, it was trying to be The Last of Us, but because of the apparent infinite ammo that the guy's just spamming bullets at the horde of zombies, it had none of the menace that The Last of Us did. Like, I remember in The Last of Us, at the end of the Pittsburgh section, you have the sniper rifle, and you get rid of the bandits, and then just a wave of the infected start coming. And that was legitimate tense, because there was a point at which you realize there's no way you're going to be able to kill all of them. You have to get out. If this were Days Gone, he would just pull out a submachine gun and just start like mowing them all down. And that just defeats it's not survival horror at that point.
Yeah, but it's also not Dead Rising though. It's very
Yeah.
like from the CG trailer that they showed, it was very clearly trying to take itself seriously and have this emotional, touching story. But the gameplay doesn't match up. Like you can have a fun zombie game where it's just about shooting down as many zombies as you can. That's fine. You can have that kind of game. But the direction, that the tone and the gameplay do not match, and it doesn't help that everything just looks like every other zombie game I've seen ever. So
That's my problem with it, is that it looks literally like everything else I've seen at this point in this genre. It to me, it got to a point where at the beginning, the trailer starts as the motorcycle of the guys and I think Ride to Hell Retribution. I was really I wanted to make the joke, and I was like, I don't know what this is supposed to be, but I was like, I'll keep watching. And then as soon as the zombies show up, I was like, oh Jesus Christ! I was like, here we go again.
Well, at first I was like, oh no, he shot Gollum.
Yeah,
Yeah, those zombies are weird looking.
It's my ring, you son of a bitch. And it's Last of Us with the numbers game. It's like, we like Last of Us, and we like that whole zombies dogpiling each other from World War Z. So let's make that a game element, and just I don't know what to say about this.
It just becomes a so.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So
It's like I'm hoping there's definitely more to it. I hope there's more enemy diversity. I hope there's actually like, I mean, it's gonna be more like Last of Us the way I'm thinking it can have diversity, but like, it's just weird that like all we saw of the gameplay was just a swarm of things coming at him, and he stopped every now and then to shoot at him, which didn't seem to do anything because they just kept coming anyway, and he seemed to be outrunning them pretty good.
Although apparently they can climb ladders, like bust down a door, go across a bridge, like they seem pretty.
Yeah, it's the numbers game.
Yeah.
Their idea of a threat is just to throw so many at you that it's like a swarm of locusts that you can't hope to stop, except you can because your gun seems to have infinite ammo.
Days Gone was remarkable for how unremarkable it was to me. It was like, we have boiled down video games into the most generic thing possible. That's just what I thought with this game. So, yeah, let's talk about something interesting, which was The Last Guardian. Which...
one thing before we go though, I did notice after the conference happened, I follow Sam Witwer on Twitter, and he mentioned that he was the lead character in Days Gone. And Sam Witwer, if you're not familiar or you haven't watched any of my Let's Plays recently, he is the actor who plays Starkiller in Star Wars The Force Unleashed. And then I went back and rewatched that trailer, and I'm like, holy shit, that was Starkiller! So, just a little tidbit I wanted to drop there.
Nice.
Okay, so, can anybody explain to me what kind of game The Last Guardian is? Because I still...
Puzzle platform. It seems to be like a puzzle platformer.
Okay, because I've seen it a bunch of times, and I still don't get it. I guess is the big
It is,
thing.
well, you can say the same thing for
Shadow of the Colossus.
Shadow of the Colossus. It's one of those kind of games.
It's
I don't mean
it's a Team Ego game. You're not supposed to really know what it is.
Yeah, I don't mean to make it sound that patronizing or anything like
Yeah.
that. It is definitely more of an artistic flair, where it's not so much about the game, but rather...
I would say Shadow of the Colossus was a game.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. But everything else around it that wasn't the soundtrack, I love that soundtrack. You really gotta fill out the blanks for yourself.
I've been
It's
meaning
one
to
of
play
those
Shadow
games.
of the Colossus and Ico for years. I think like
I
when
haven't played Ico myself, but play Shadow of the Colossus.
I think when I first got that PS3, like one of the games that I bought for it was the Ico collection. So which had Ico and Shadow of the Colossus, and I know it's kind of, it feels like homework, I guess, to me. Like, I know I need to play this game because it's one of those hugely critically acclaimed games, but I'm just I never find myself in the mood to play it, so.
Well, you may like it for different reasons. I only view it as, I wouldn't say homework.
Well,
honestly,
that's what it
'cause I
feels to me now, because it was something like, oh, that looks neat back when it was newer, but now that the game's like over 10 years old, now it feels like homework, because I gotta catch up.
I only enjoy Shadow of the Colossus in a very general sense. It's certainly not because of its fill-in-the-blank sort of design where you have to make it your own magnificent adventure. I just like fighting the Colossi, and the soundtrack
Yeah.
that accompanies it.
Yeah, and it's also just kind of one of those. We did that on the PS2.
Yes,
What if
Yeah,
we did something like that
it is
now?
a technical marvel.
Okay.
It was the best boss rush I've ever played.
Yeah. Where's the wily sentinel?
Woo, 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 woo,
Oh
woo.
no, I don't want to play this game anymore.
Uh,
But Last Guardian, I
Finally has a
this.
fucking date.
We have a release date, yeah. So
You can't take this back, Sony.
I was no. Well, first off, yes, they can. Everything gets delayed. Second off, I was sure it was coming out in 2017. So, wait, did I call that in the? I called that in the pre-3 video. So I did
Yeah.
it again. You're welcome, everybody who wanted to play The Last Guardian. Just gonna say, but yeah, I was sure it was gonna get delayed, and it didn't. So, that's good, I guess. Yeah.
All right. Well, after The Last Guardian, let's look over the horizon to Horizon Zero Dawn.
Robot dinosaurs.
Horizon's scheduled to come out in February, right?
Yes.
Okay, so
Oh, that's going to be a busy month.
inevitably the Zelda comparisons are going to happen when these games release. Inevitably.
Yeah.
And I have to say, Horizon Zero Dawn looks fantastic. I think that was one of the best demos they had. Like, in terms of game demos, I think it was one of the best because it was very clearly not in... They didn't try to cut out all the gamey looking stuff from the demo. They left in the pause menus. They left in the cutscenes where it was clearly a game cutscene, like people talking. And I'm not saying that like it's a bad thing. It looked like the game it was going to be during final release, and I appreciated that honesty. And I mean, when it comes to comparing Horizon and Zelda, I've seen much more of Zelda because I did follow a lot of that stream, the Treehouse stream. But both games look fantastic. I think both look equally good in terms of that. So I'm interested to see them compared. I think because Horizon
one of my key complaints of Horizon last year was that I felt the writing team tried a little too hard, to make the protagonist stand out as a trash talker, one that knows what she's doing. She's totally in control, and yeah, she does because she takes care of the thing, no problem. And
a
that rubbed me the wrong way.
hashtag strong female character trademark.
Yeah, hashtag feminism.
Taking
I-
care
like,
of
I-
business.
I should elaborate. I have no problem. I should elaborate. I should say. I have no problem. Obviously I enjoy strong female characters, but
Yeah, so do I.
but there comes a point where you make them a stereotype in and of themselves. It's a tricky situation. I've already put my foot in my mouth.
She just chats too much. That's
Oh my gosh,
she
what
talks
was-
too much.
What was with her needing to monologue everything she's doing? Oh, I guess I should head that way. Guess I should I need to pick up that stuff that just fell out of that monster.
Yeah, she talked too much.
I
And
hope
this,
that's just a
this
demo
year
thing.
well,
Probably.
I thought they toned it down honestly this year compared to last year.
Really?
I wasn't annoyed by her. I didn't feel she was as annoying as last year.
Yeah, I do think that a lot of that, like, oh, I better pick up this stuff kind of dialogue will be cut out of the demo, or at the very least stop once you reach a midpoint of the game and understand how all this stuff works. Because it's just there to put in context for the people watching, I think. It's because it's just like, oh, why are you picking up this stuff? It's just to answer questions, I think, before they come up. And it might sound forced and stupid now, because it does, but I don't think it'll be in the final game.
Well, we'll find out, I guess.
Well, yeah, we will find out. But it was one of the strongest games at Sony's conference, I think. Like, that and God of War and Horizon, I think, were the two strongest showings at Sony's conference for me. And Horizon looks very impressive. Like, graphically, too. The game looks gorgeous.
Oh yeah, and that combat looks really unique. Like, I really like the idea that there's all these different weak points and all these different things you can take advantage of with all the different enemies and stuff. Like, I don't know how complicated that's going to be when the game actually comes out, but it's just fun watching her, like, slide around shooting her bow and arrow and use all these different tools to drag down these weird robot dinosaurs. It's pretty fun.
And it doesn't seem like I don't know if there was more information about the story than what appeared to be in that trailer, but it doesn't seem like it's strictly a like machines versus nature thing, because
No, because she uses all that kind of weird technology stuff to
Yeah.
battle those guys.
yeah, and it sounds like that some of the machines are having issues. Like some of the machines are becoming corrupted by, what I presume is going to be the big bad of the game, and they're causing problems, but normally the machines are either helpful or, neutral to the people.
So, Catherine, would you, because I'm trying to cycle this through my head at the moment. Would you say that it's kind of the difference between the conflict of nature and technology being a theme of the game, and the game saying nature is good, technology is bad, like just making a statement? Because having a theme and making a statement are two different things.
I think it
feel.
is more. It does seem like more of a theme than just trying to like hammer in a message. But obviously, this depends on what I don't know what the final message of the game is. I don't know what
Yeah, there could
how
the final
game ends
boss
up.
could the final boss could literally be like a giant motherboard, and you're like riding in on a tree Jesus or something. So
You're riding
you
in
know.
on X-Death.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Whatever. But yeah, Horizon looks really good. I'm very interested in that game. Okay.
Moving on to a
5
game
seconds
not
of
many
silence.
people. Yeah, that would say. Moving on to a game not many people I know are interested in, mostly because of the people making it. It's Detroit Become Human.
Oh,
I am
David
interested in
Cage.
it because of David Cage.
It is guaranteed to be a train wreck, and so it will be
Quantic
entertaining.
Dream.
I don't
The
know
makers
why,
of Heavy
like-
Rain.
I wasn't. I was sort of on and off at this point of the conference because I was, I guess I was doing my typical cynical live tweet on Twitter, where I was gazing at this game for a second, and I see this one character. I was like, that reminds me a lot of Namen from Heavy Rain. And I was like, oh, it's a David Cage game. And
There goes all my enthusiasm.
no, I can't. I don't. Shameless plug. I still love our Heavy Rain Let's Play.
Oh no, that's one of the best you guys did. I think.
I love that. I love that LP.
I just love David Cage because he is a gold mine for just having a fucking good time ripping the game to shreds with this and that and narrative and interactivity, and it's just a fun time. And that on that merit alone, I want to play, quote unquote, play this game just to see what happens. And Elliot's looking forward to it. Probably for the same reasons I am.
I'm just curious if RoboCop will make an appearance because it is Detroit.
It is in Detroit. You're right.
Here's the thing about it though is that this game perfectly illustrated why choice-based games often end up feeling like bullshit, because they show there's like a million different ways to handle this one scene where the guy is where you're trying to negotiate with the guy about to drop the girl off the bridge, and then they show like he can end up dead or you can end up dead these different ways, but then they show you can finally save the guy and he ends up dying anyway, and it's just like, okay, then why is there a choice if no matter what I do he's always going to end up shot in the head? Like that's an issue that'll even the best kind of these kind of games like Telltale's Walking Dead, fantastic series. But that kind of stuff happens a lot in that series where no matter what you pick, the same thing happens in the end.
Well,
So-
You never
in
really
Heavy Rain,
choose.
in Heavy Rain, people do actually die when they are killed. Thank you, Shiro Emiya. So I am I do think, and what I'm wondering as I'm looking at this is a couple of things. First of all, is there gonna be the Quantic Dream signature random sex scene?
Of course. Do you think they're gonna not take the opportunity to have RoboSex in their video game? They're totally going to have it.
How else are they going to feel human? They're becoming human.
That girl's gonna be
By
so
feeling
scarred.
human.
That poor girl's just gonna be absolutely traumatized.
Also, I love that David Cage got a setting that he can write for. Robots. That doesn't feel out of place.
Why didn't you get a real person? Oh God.
Oh my gosh! But
Now the stilted acting from Heavy Rain makes sense, because now they're robots.
Yeah, the robots.
They're not supposed to be like human beings.
it just seems like there was a part where in the background you could see like this branching choice thing, like, like presumably different scenarios, and I'm just like, this feels like someone told David Cage about like visual novels, and he played like School Days and was just like, this is amazing. Like,
David Cage would like School Days.
Yeah.
Nice boat.
Nice boat. That was only in the anime. But it just feels like a bad Western attempt at a visual novel. And I just have to wonder, the other thing I wonder is, if you sit down and just play like one quote unquote route of the game, like how long is that going to be? Like 10 minutes? I'm pretty sure you can end up with everyone dead in 2 minutes. Like
that the entire game is just that one hostage negotiation.
Wait, I'm going to speedrun this game right now.
Oh, so
I'm going to
it's
start routing.
It's a video game version of phone booth.
But yeah, it's like I don't know if I'll buy this game, because I don't think it's worth however much it would cost.
I'll watch an LP of it.
Yeah, I'll watch an LP of it. I will join a stream of it. If someone streams this, I would love to see that, because this just looks hilariously bad. I'm gonna laugh.
Yeah, because like I'm two sides of the coin on this one, because like it has the potential to be another Heavy Rain, but it also has the potential to be another Beyond Two Souls, which I thought was unbelievably boring, where like none of your choices ever mattered in that game, and there's nothing, like you could screw up every QTE in that game, and Ellen Page would be should be okey smoky, you know? And I really want a Terabad game, and I also want a great game, and I don't want a boring one, you know?
Yeah.
I just want Sonic a riff on. That's all I ask.
Okay. So the next game they showed was Resident Evil 7. This game confused me. When
Came out of nowhere.
I did not think this was Resident Evil.
Well, because it looks nothing like Resident Evil. That's the thing.
It's trying to actually be scary.
Well, what's really weird, I had like different processes going through my mind once it was revealed that it was the 7th installment, and one was like, okay, whatever this game is, it's clearly trying to bank on the PT hype.
PT.
Yeah.
So let's see what's going on with that. It's a cabin in the woods, very paranormal. Resident Evil 7, I was like, wait a minute, Resident Evil, it's not paranormal, that's just zombies. And then I immediately thought of the prototype of Resident Evil 4, which had a more paranormal setting that was ultimately scrapped, and I'm wondering, are they attempting to get that feeling again with whatever they're trying to? Because apparently the demo's out right now on PlayStation Plus.
Yeah, I played it actually.
Is it good?
It's all in first person?
It's all first person. You're never third person at all. You don't even have a gun or a weapon or anything. You're just going through a house, and a lot of
we finally are in someone's residence.
I mean, it's the obvious comparisons are going to be PT, because it does very much feel like PT. You especially have a ghost woman who gets all up and close and personal, and you can see her teeth and stuff.
Oh,
and
seriously?
That happens at the very end, yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
That's very on the nose, yeah, with PT.
It's not as good as PT as well. Like, PT has a lot of stuff going on. Like, there's a lot of things people have dug up about PT where, like, oh, you can see her on that balcony if you look over there, or, oh, this thing will happen if you do this and that. And there's certainly a lot of stuff going on with the Resident Evil 7 demo, but yeah, it doesn't play like any Resident Evil you've ever played at all, because I think there's a mention of Umbrella in a photo. Like, you find a photo of a helicopter, and I think the Umbrella logo's on that helicopter, and that's like the only connection I can find to the previous games. It is supposed to be chronologically after 6. It is supposed to be in continuity with the series. But you're not playing as Jill or Chris, you're just playing as some random guy and his camera crew who end up in this house filled with fucking nut jobs. And there might be ghosts, or your character might be crazy. I don't know.
Is there anything to suggest it's zombies? Like, in the previous games, it was always zombies in the previous games, right?
If anything, there's ghosts, and then there's this one killer person who is wandering the house, who kills one of your friends.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
There's no zombies. I don't even hear virus or anything. There's no indication that this is in the Resident Evil world at all. Aside
that
from
we know of at the moment.
I'm kind of torn, to be honest, because on one hand, I haven't played any Resident Evil games. I've had
Play 4 already.
that 4 is still in the shrink wrap back when I bought it back in 2011. Okay, like I bought Resident Evil 4 in a Skype call with John, Ryan, and Lewis, and I have not opened the game. But Resident Evil 4 has nothing to do with anything Resident Evil before it, and is considered one of, if not the best Resident Evil game. So, being different doesn't inherently mean it's going to be bad, but at the same time, Resident Evil 4 still held... it was a major departure, granted, but there was still... It seemed more similar to what came before it than what 7 seems to be. But at the same time, Resident Evil 6 and 5 weren't received great either. So I can understand them trying to switch things up. As a non-fan, it's interesting to me.
Again, being cynical, I would also think Capcom saw PT and they were like, well, we can do that.
We can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. I think it was honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it was either they were trying to come up with something based on what they saw of PT, or it was another project and they were like, let's just call it Resident Evil, maybe they'll tie it in somehow to previous games, but
Those Konami fucks, they canceled that PT game. People are angry. Let's carry them. Let's be their open arms and grace them with this new game.
Well, if they really wanted to do that, they'd get I can never pronounce his name.
Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah, they'd get him if they really wanted to fuck over Konami. But
we'll get to that.
We will. That's another what the fuck kind of game. But
it's also one of those. I'm glad Resident Evil's actually trying to be scary for once.
yeah.
Oh yeah, that demo's kind of creepy. That demo's really creepy.
To be fair, I think they really, honest to God, tried to do that with Leon's campaign in 6.
Yeah.
Which
and
is,
they failed, but
without a doubt, the most tense campaign in that entire game.
Yeah, but you also have Chris's campaign, though.
Yeah. But
it's a Sonic story of Resident Evil 6.
Yeah, it's like Resident Evil Adventure, where everyone's had different tones and different focuses on their separate campaigns, and Leon's, honest to God, felt like them attempting to go back to what made classic Resident Evil what it was, and I enjoyed it. It's my favorite campaign in the entire game. For that, and because I love Resident Evil 4 so much. But I agree that this series can afford another genre shift, because I always split up Resident Evil into two categories. There is the survival horror, which is Resident Evils 1 through 3. Well,
and Code Veronica.
Remake.
Resident Evil 1 and Remake, I would say, because starting with 2 is when it started to get actionized. And then there's Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil, which I love the most, but it is clearly not what it used to be.
You run from a Napoleon statue.
Yes, you do.
Let's not pretend that classic Resident Evil wasn't stupid, though. Like with its goddamn nemesis
it was stupid
stars.
Oh, it was stupid. And again, if you haven't at this point, I'm not just talking to Ted, I'm talking to anyone here. If you have not experienced the joy that is the original PlayStation Resident Evil, please.
I got a shotgun.
You gotta play that. Or just watch cutscenes. Just watch the cut.
I've seen the cutscenes.
Watch the intro. Just watch the intro. The
close.
FMV mid-90s intro.
No! Don't go!
With Wesker, with his Johnny Bravo hair, and his sunglasses at night sort of look.
That
That was a close one. You were almost a Jill sandwich for a second there.
I sure hope this isn't Chris's blood.
Is that voice Enrico's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One more thing before we move on. I always find it a little odd that the subtitle for this game is Biohazard. And in Japan, the subtitle for it is Resident Evil.
That's
Is there
great.
a reason why they're now suddenly combining both titles?
I didn't know they did that.
I think they're just trying to make it more unified across country lines.
Catherine, Resident Evil's title in Japan is Biohazard.
No. I didn't realize that for Resident Evil 7, they gave it the subtitle Biohazard.
One thing that is cool though is in for Biohazard, I think it's the Z is shaped like a 7. It's like they highlight the 7 kind of shape, and for Resident Evil 7, they have it as the Roman numeral 7.
VII
which is neat.
for the evil. That's pretty.
I think the idea was, and I think the idea with the Japanese version was, let's give it the subtitle Resident Evil because it takes place, at least the
In a
demo
residence.
did. Yeah, in an actual residence, so
So
I don't
apparently
know.
there's
Maybe
a
they wanted to go with
biohazard.
that pun.
Yes.
Fuck,
Yeah.
bro, it's up until a
Biohazard
corner.
confirmed.
I haven't seen any proof of viruses yet, but
We're gonna have to make the whole game take place in Saucer. You called it Resident Evil. Why'd you call it Resident Evil?
Yeah. So yeah, that was very interesting. Oh, okay. So the next trailer was something that just seemed that was when they went for all of their VR.
They
bullshit.
started talking about VR a lot.
PlayStation VR, $400. I already made my rant, but I just need $400. Why? The Batman Arkham VR stuff. Like, they had Joker talk, and they showed the Batman mask, and then that was it for Batman Arkham VR. And
I'm done with the Arkham series.
is it a new game? Is it a VR version of the old game?
They haven't said.
Either way, I don't really care, but...
Yeah, they showed this was when they did their little VR montage, right? And there was like a bit where like you could chill with the Backstreet Boys from Final Fantasy 15.
Oh yeah, you can play as Pompto, the blonde one, and you can oogle female Sid's breasts in person. Great, I guess. I don't know.
No, the one that pissed me off the most though was when they booted up Star Wars, and you're in the cockpit of the X-wing. I'm like, oh my god, are they bringing back X-wing and TIE Fighter? And nope, it's just Battlefront VR missions.
Yeah, because like I think if at first I thought it was Rogue Squadron, and you probably
Well, yeah, that would have been cool too, but
like a VR Rogue Squadron might actually be cool, but like, yeah, I still don't care about VR. I'm sorry. So yeah, there was Batman, there was Final Fantasy. Did Call of Duty have VR in it, or was it just after?
no,
Okay.
that was after they did it.
Not yet, anyway.
Oh, eventually, if the technology takes off, of course they're going to do it eventually. But
Yeah. They'll
yeah.
get to it at some point.
I will say Call of Duty Infinite Warfare looked more interesting than I thought it would.
I loved the reactions from everybody concerning this trailer, because this is right off the heels of Infinite Warfare's trailer being
That everyone
one of the
hated.
most disliked videos on YouTube, and everybody is talking about this trailer. It's like, oh, this looks incredible, and then Call of Duty pops up. I was like, ugh.
Why do people
Yeah.
dislike the Infinite Warfare stuff? I have to ask.
I think, but here's the thing. I'm laughing at that sort of thing. And it's like, you guys are willing to hate something you just praised just because it's Call of Duty. Like,
Yeah.
that trailer was cool. Like, I really did enjoy that trailer. It was intense. It was in your face. It was climatic.
Has more space battles than Battlefront.
What great way to sell the game. And then, like, that, the ultimate sting for a lot of people was that it was the Infinite Warfare trailer. And I laugh at that sort of reaction, because it's just funny how people are willing to do a quick 180 because of a name, and they no longer want to give the game a shot because it is simply a Call of Duty game.
oh yeah, you just know that there are lots of people who have never played all the Call of Duty games who just hate them because they're popular and everyone plays them, but they've never actually tried them themselves.
Yeah.
It's like Call of Duty's a good game. It's good. It's a great shooter.
Just because
Yeah.
it's not your thing doesn't mean it's a bad game. And I mean, the game did look interesting. The only thing about Infinite Warfare that was kind of iffy to me was I don't know how well the space shooting and the on foot shooting is gonna mesh, because there are other games that have tried that. My first thought is like Star Fox Assault, where they didn't really mesh great, but I'm sure that's
Oh, Halo's been doing it since 2001.
okay. So I'm sure.
So-
Okay. So maybe my fears are a little bit unfounded then.
Yeah.
But it was much more impressive than I thought it would be. So like, I'll give credit where credit's due.
And granted, I know a lot of people are probably just going to be buying the game for the remastered Modern Warfare.
Oh wait,
Yeah,
that too.
the remastered Modern Warfare, does that come with the game, or is it a different game on its own?
No, you have to
It's-
buy Infinite Warfare to get
You
it.
have to buy Infinite Warfare to get it, but it is considered a separate game.
Okay. Oh, so it's like Star Fox Guard then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good way of comparing it, yeah.
Okay.
But so those that are doing that just for Modern Warfare 1, I mean, I don't blame you, because if you want to stick with something you're familiar with, that's fine. But at the very least, you also have something to look forward to in the form of Infinite Warfare, and I really liked what I looked at. This could be the first Call of Duty game I'll play since Modern Warfare 2, because that's where I pretty much peaked and stopped.
Yeah, same here.
I hear a lot of good things about Modern Warfare 1. Like, people who shit on Call of Duty like Modern Warfare 1. So,
Oh, Modern Warfare 1's a great game.
yeah. So, I mean, I'm not. It's still not something I'm gonna play because it's not really my style. But I think remastering it was a good move on Activision's part. So, what wasn't a good move on Activision's part? See how I'm doing the transitions now. Crash is in Skylanders. Crash is in Skylanders.
Nobody cares. Remastered versions of 1 through 3.
Did you hear about the remasters though, Ryan? They're being developed by the Skylanders team. Yeah.
Well, if they're just remaking the same games, so even
They have a foundation.
Sonic Genesis.
That's a good point.
But, I have never seen interest die so
it's the
quickly.
only example of a game I've seen that bad.
Rayman 3D as well. But here's the thing. I'd never seen interest in a game die so quickly as the news when Vicarious Visions was remaking the Crash games. When I was on Twitter, I immediately had red flags when they just had the Crash Shadow and they didn't show anything about these remasters. Because they're apparently supposed to come out pretty soon, right? Like,
No, they didn't say anything about when they would come out.
Oh, okay. Maybe I was just imagining that because I could have sworn I saw somewhere that it was coming out this fall, but not showing anything for these remasters. Instant red flag for me, and everybody gave me shit about that when I was on Twitter. And then the next day when it came out that Vicarious Visions was remaking these, I have never seen anybody interest fall so quickly in something. And like I would say, I told you so. Because I did. But other than Gareth, making fun of people for this just seems like kicking a puppy to me. Because the reaction was so sincere. And I was like, I've never seen people so sincerely happy to see something in a really long time.
Well, because I think at the end of the day, like, because I speak as someone who's totally stoked for the idea of Crash 1 through 3 getting remastered for the PlayStation 4. At the end of the day, there's nothing being shown. So I can only just go off of what's promised to me and just hope for the best. And at that, until I see some static image or trailer, there's nothing to talk about. I mean, I could speculate on what the game will look like and what kind of remastering. I mean, idealistically, I love for Crash 1 through 3 to get the Ratchet and Clank PS4 treatment. Which I understand it's probably going to be. Yeah, I know.
I don't.
It's
apparently
that's asking for way too much.
Apparently, also it's not the old voice cast. It's the Mind Over Mutant voice cast that's going to be used. Because
I mean, if they can't get Clancy Brown for Cortex, I'm not losing sleep. I mean, I want that honestly, but whatever.
It's that feeling it now, Dr. Cortex.
Yeah, it's just
I'm down with the idea. I love the idea of Crash 1 through 3 getting remastered because hopefully, idealistically speaking here, if it sells, well, that shows interest in Crash again, and hopefully that it leads to a serious revitalization of the kind of Crash we want to see, not Crash the Titans or Mind Over Mutant Crash, but Crash Bandicoot Crash Cortex Strikes Back Crash Bandicoot Warped Crash. I want more of that.
Or what happened to Spyro could happen again, and it just ends up being another Skylander as well. That's a possibility.
Well, we'll see what happens. I think what they're going to do, because I'm not sure, is the Skylanders Crash pack like already there?
It's coming for the next Skylanders game. I mean, I will say that the Crash Skylander design isn't the worst Skylander redesign. Because, like, I still think Donkey Kong has the worst Skylanders redesign, even worse than Spyro. Even though that design is pretty terrible. Oh, Qatherine.
You shut your face again, Ted.
Okay, no, Qatherine.
Skylander Spyro looks awful.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that Skylander Spyro is good. I'm just saying I think Donkey Kong had the worst transition, personally. But, Qatherine, did you know that Skylander Spyro wasn't originally Spyro? They just took a generic Fire Dragon model that they had, colored it purple, and there you go. It's Spyro.
But but they bothered to get the Spyro. They bothered.
I know,
to get
but
the
they didn't.
Spyro
But they didn't. They
license.
didn't make a new Spyro. They got the Spyro license. So okay, let's take this dragon we have, recolor it, and make that Spyro. Look at Chris's Twitter, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Like, I think you might have to go a day or two back, but he has pictures about that showing it. It's not Spyro. That's why he looks terrible, because he wasn't designed to be Spyro. It's not a Spyro design. It's just, yeah.
That
well,
actually makes sense.
Yeah, so we can shit on Skylanders all day, but I'm very skeptical, I guess, is the one thing. And I know that makes me a Debbie Downer and whatnot, and I accept that, but I'm very skeptical about these remasters. So, yeah.
Yeah. Next was Lego Star Wars Force Awakens. Oh, look, another Lego game. Moving on.
Why did they show that? Because, like, that's not even a new announcement. That's just Lego Star Wars, which has been a thing for forever. Like, Lego Star Wars Force Awakens was already announced before E3 too, so that just seemed very random to me that they showed that at the conference.
Yeah.
And lo, from his tiny steps descending, our Lord and Savior Kojima was announced. Raising a soft hand to the crowd, he declared, "Fuck Konami."
So Kojima. Okay, they gave a big, like, giant opening to Kojima, and people are very excited about his game, and I'm glad.
Fuck Konami.
I understand that I understand fuck Konami, and I'm happy that Kojima is able to make whatever he wants. But what the fuck is Death Stranding? But
It's Norman Reedus with his Norman fetus.
Yeah.
Did anyone expect at the end of that trailer that he was going to end up in a hallway?
Yeah, I was waiting. I was waiting for Silent Hill. Like,
You mean quiet? You mean quiet raising? I'm trying to think of whatever, but yeah, quiet inclined. Yeah.
Yeah, that is one thing I'm really glad that he didn't do what every other developer does and make a not Metal Gear. I'm glad
Yeah.
yeah.
So
But
Ted, I get what you're saying. Like, I can look at that trailer, and I've watched it a couple times, and I can try and speculate as to, like, what does this mean? What does that mean?
Oh, it's fucking Kojima. You're gonna have no fucking idea.
Exactly, but
Yeah.
but Ted, the point of that trailer, and you can dislike how they did this, and that's totally right. But I'm just gonna tell you now, the point was not to advertise the game, in the sense that, say, God of War was, where they showed gameplay. The point was Kojima and his studio have this project. Norman Reedus is involved. It's gonna be
It's gonna
a
be
mind
fucking
trip,
awesome.
and it's gonna look really good. And that was it. It was an announcement. If you dislike that was at E3, that's fine. But that's all it was.
like, here's my thing about it is like, I do think it's a game worthy of talking about at E3, because Kojima's a big name. It's his first solo project. He's still working with this actor that wanted to work on his last game because of Konami, and I am all for every ounce of punching Konami in the dick, publicly even. I'm all for that, but
it's already a pachinko machine.
true.
I mean,
I
Ted,
just-
how long has Konami, not Konami, how long has Kojima Productions been complete, like, perfect, active, and not working on MGS5? I don't remember when did MGS5 come out?
Last fall.
Last year.
So like 6 months ago, like a little more than that, 9 months ago. That's not much time for game development. Like,
I know, but even I wanted at least a little. I wanted to know what kind of game it was. Like, is it mostly a story? Well, it's probably mostly a story-based game, because look at who we're
So it's
talking
Kojima.
about here. But I wanted at least a little bit more. At least
and you'll
a little
get
bit
that
more.
at like E3, E3.
Welcome to E3 2022.
You will get that at E3 2017. Like, next year, Ted. I think next year you'll see that, in the same way that, like, a couple years ago, didn't we just see, like, a little bit, like, just a teaser of Horizon Zero Dawn? That's how Sony does these things. Sony has a very different
I think
mindset.
we
when
got a
putting on
much
these
better.
events.
Well, we got a much better look at Horizon during its reveal than with Death Stranding, because at the very least we saw her beat up robots, we saw her exploring, so on and so forth. Like, I mean, granted, I know that I'm not going to get a good look at what the game's going to play like until the game comes out, if we even play it at all, because Kojima.
I'll tell you one thing. It's go ahead, Ted.
I know that it's interesting for sure, but I can't be excited until I know how the game works. Is just how it is for me.
It's certainly not Metal Gear, but I'm definitely thinking not Silent Hill.
No, I
Because
agree, John.
that was the last game that Kojima was working on before the split. This game has Norman Reedus. It is surreal in its surrounding and setting. There is a fetus for some reason.
Male preg.
Which
Reminds
me, also it's sequel to Junior, is what you're telling me.
Yes.
It reminds me a lot of that fetus in the sink that you see in PT.
Yeah.
This is not Silent Hill. Just based on what I've seen.
Don't fucking care. I'll take it.
Just a fuck Konami?
Yes.
No, wait, hold on. Just a hashtag fuck Konami.
Yeah.
Well, there's that, but also the fact that PT was actually really good. So.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because I agree, John. I don't think it's going to be going down the same sort of, quite the same thematics as Silent Hills, because to me there definitely appears to be a very strong environmental message in the Dead Sea Life, but also the oil on everything. So I don't know. See, why doesn't Derek analyze this trailer instead of analyzing an image of?
Because he has nothing.
rock
He has
climbing?
nothing. He has nothing to work off of. The entire analysis could be summed up as Kojima is weird, and everyone's response would be no shit.
Well, but there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of things to, if you go through it slowly. There's a lot of things you can notice, like the subtle hand, like the baby handprints. I'm not talking about the oil ones, but like there's almost like bruise like handprints on Reedus's body after when he turns around. The dog tags.
I get what you're going for, but generally the purpose of the Game Explain analyses, whatever, is to find details that would have some sort of impact on the gameplay. And again, since we don't know how this game plays, we can't really take any of those details and apply them to something. Whereas, like in Zelda, if they see this thing, it's just like, okay, we see a torch here that isn't lit. Does that mean that the lamp is in the game, or fire arrows, or something like that? That's generally a point of how their analyses work. I mean, granted, I do agree that they should hashtag free Derek, because he spent like 2 days out of the 3 days E3 was open stuck in the goddamn tech area making videos, so he didn't even get to play Zelda, the poor guy. But yeah. It's interesting. I do want to see a full trailer with like gameplay and stuff for Death Stranding. It's just I have no idea what it is at the moment.
Yeah, I'm super excited. Kojima is like a crazy madman, and with Metal Gear Solid 4 and Metal Gear Solid 5, you always felt like there was these limitations, especially from interviews he's had, that Konami kind of changed a lot of things that he didn't want to go. Like I think the original ending in 4 was that Snake does kill himself.
Oh, geez.
I can't imagine Konami would never let that fly. One, because sequels.
I think they added the whole Big Boss thing, and I think they twisted a few things that he didn't want to do and stuff like that. And now he's got like his own studio. Now he's working for Sony, and now he's got like people know he's Hideo Kojima. People know what he's capable of, and he's got the power to do whatever crazy Dead Whales crazy video game that he wants.
And the other, sorry, go ahead.
It's going to be really, really entertaining no matter what it is. Even if it turns out the game's not super fun, it's going to be a real clusterfuck, so.
And the other thing I think that's good about Kojima being on his own now is especially with Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes, you could see that he wanted to go into very dark territory. But then you look at Metal Gear Solid as a series, and while it certainly has always had an undercurrent of dark theming, I personally don't feel like the series is quite serious enough to handle some of the topics that he tried to touch on in Ground Zeroes. I think it would be very uh, off-putting to go from some of the content that's in Ground Zeroes and then call your chopper with like Ride of the Valkyries playing.
Are you talking about Ground Zero specifically? Because that is the 2-hour version of Metal Gear Solid 5.
No. Ground Zeroes is the one that takes place in not Guantanamo Bay and has
the prequel to Phantom Pain.
Yeah, there's some interesting radio tapes about
some
characters.
There's some really awful stuff that goes on in the radio tapes, and I don't want to discuss it.
Easily darker than anything that's in Phantom Pain.
Yes. It's
all
very
right.
dark.
So it's all right. So I was just, as someone who's not played either game, I wasn't sure why Ground Zero specifically, as opposed to, because all I know of Ground Zeroes is the $40 demo for Phantom Pain.
Well,
so
what I'm saying is that it's clear that Kojima wants to tackle really mature subjects, and I totally respect that. And I think I'm glad for him that he now has a new project he can work on that isn't sort of shackled to, the overarching franchise that Metal Gear Solid was, where it was like, yeah, you're trying to discuss really mature themes, but like especially with Paz, where it's like Paz goes through really awful stuff in Ground Zeroes. In her last appearance, she was driving a mech in her underwear.
Yeah. She was a really cartoony character.
It's really jarring, even for Metal Gear.
I understand.
It's like, how can I take that seriously? So that's all I was trying to say, really. I don't want to go on too long about Death Stranding, but... Yeah.
Well, there's only a few games left in Sony's conference. Well, one game left.
No, there's only
Spider-Man!
one.
Yeah! Do they have gameplay of Spider-Man?
No, it was mostly just CG stuff.
Ah, damn it. Okay, because Insomniac is a developer I respect. They do good work. And I fucking love me some Spider-Man. So the only thing about the trailer that didn't look good to me, I don't like the suit. The suit looks weird. I don't like the giant white lines.
I'll agree with Ted on this one. The white lines turn me off.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That could change.
Yeah, I've heard that from a lot of people.
Complain about it on social media.
They're not...
The thing is, I'm guessing, like, a lot of Spider-Man games in the series, there's probably going to be unlockable costumes.
Oh, yeah, you'll be able to play as the black suit, classic suit, Miles Morales suit, I'm sure.
Yeah, like, even in Ratchet and Clank, Insomniac's latest game, the movie game, like, Ratchet had a whole bunch of different masks and armors he could wear and stuff, so I'm sure they're going to have lots of... I didn't see a tux, no. I 100%ed the game, too, so I don't think they have a tux.
Unacceptable.
I know.
Ladies love a well-dressed Lombax. That's what the menu description says in Up Your Arsenal. Ladies love a well-dressed Lombax. But anyways.
Yeah, but I did not expect... That was something I didn't expect. I didn't think Insomniac would be doing a Spider-Man game. So,
and I've always wanted to see, like, a big-budget Marvel superhero character done by, like, I don't know, a Naughty Dog or an Insomniac or a Sucker Punch.
You mean an actually good studio?
Yeah, because the last good Spider-Man game, I haven't played it, but people consider the last good Spider-Man game to be Spider-Man 2, which was on the GameCube. So yeah, so.
And even that, we're only talking about the web swinging. Yeah.
And I mean, like, Marvel, generally speaking, has had worse luck with video games than DC, because there have generally, like, DC has had missteps, for sure, because they have, like, what is considered to be one of the worst video games of all time, but they also have stuff like Batman Arkham, which is widely acclaimed, so I think getting more good Marvel video games would be nice. So I'm excited about Spider-Man. I was actually really kind of annoyed with myself because I was tweeting something snarky, and then I missed the beginning of the Spider-Man trailer, and so yeah. I need to watch it again, because I haven't watched the whole thing again since the conference, and I love Spider-Man, so yeah. I do plan on getting a PS4 eventually, and that's one of the games I'm definitely getting for it, because I'm a Spider-Man whore. I admit it. So, yeah. John?
Well, hopefully it's good enough that everybody can just play it, so...
Yeah, and that was the last thing they showed before ending the conference with Days Gone.
Yeah, they just ended it with, look at all these zombies.
The least interesting game they had brought, they ended the game with. So, Yeah. So that was the last real conference of E3, because Nintendo had its own thing. That Nintendo didn't have a digital event this year. They instead just had the Treehouse live stream. And I love Treehouse Live, but the only game they brought was Zelda. So, well, they did show other games, but the only demo that they had on the floor was Zelda. I guess I should clarify. So,
There was a significant part of E3 that felt lacking, and it was Nintendo's lack of presence that I figured was the culprit of that, because I love the Treehouse stream too, but I often like it more when it follows up a digital event or a conference so that they can further elaborate on details of all the games they showed previously. And in this one, it's just Zelda. And, they spent some time on Pokemon Sun and Moon on shit we already know.
well, no, they showed new Pokemon. They did.
Oh, it's 3 of the really common mon that no one's going to like.
Check your privilege, sir.
I like Pick a Pick too, but it's like, oh boy, the generic normal early game that's probably just going to be an HM slave. Oh look, the generic early game bug type that's going to evolve at like level 10, but be completely useless the entire game.
Early Pokemon footage, like from your opening town to Gym
The first
1,
route or something. Yeah.
is never interesting and never ever should be a point that you show off in a live stream, because in every generation it's exactly the same.
You have one Pokemon. You catch stuff to have something resembling a team until you catch something good, and then
Here's the resident rat. Here's the resident bird. And
Here's the resident bug.
Insect. Okay, we've seen this 8 times already.
8,
There's nothing new. I mean,
6.
no. There's
Black,
there's
White,
7
2.
now.
There's Black, White 2.
Well, that's
There's,
like counting like if you played Yellow. Like that's like counting Gen 1 twice.
Oh, you're right. 9.
Nerds.
The UI does look good though. I will say that.
The interface looks nice. I agree.
I'm glad the trainers are actually in the battlefield this time.
The battle, yeah, but
Yes.
the battle models for the Pokemon look exactly the same from Gen 6.
Well, I kind of expected
yeah,
that.
I expected
And
that too.
the instrument quality is exactly the same as Gen 6. And this is something that's been bothering me about Pokemon for a long time now, is that Pokemon is without a doubt the most popular RPG franchise in the world. And the games always feel like they do not have a budget to them. Like, with the music especially is the easiest one for me to harp on, because like they're still using sound samples when really niche games like Atrian Odyssey get full orchestras for their music. I feel like Pokemon doesn't have an excuse anymore. So like a lot of people, like when I first saw footage of Pokemon Sun and Moon, I thought it was Gen 6 footage at first. Like not like Gen 6 footage, but I thought it was a pretty much the same engine. And like I mean now that I look at it better, like yeah, it's like there's full models and it seems more 3D, but it doesn't seem like this is something that couldn't have happened when X and Y first came out.
Yeah,
So,
it feels like an expansion rather than a full out different generation.
yeah, like I feel like this could have been Gen 6, I think, back during, because there are games about that same amount of graphical fidelity going on around 2013 when Gen 6 came out. So,
It's funny you mentioned that soundtrack thing, because now that I think about it, I still fall back to Generation 1 and 2 for favorite soundtracks in the series.
5. I have a very great fondness for Gen 5 soundtrack, but 1 and 2
I
are
think of
both
Gen
great.
5. I mean, I love Black and White 2's music too, but I won't lie and say that my favorite themes are not the Generation 1 and 2 remixes.
I mean, granted, Gen 1 and Gen 2 have very classic soundtracks, but I have a soft spot for 5 personally.
But yeah, that was Pokemon.
Yeah, it's. I'm not sure how I feel about models being realistically proportioned now, like teenagers are shaped as teenagers, and all that sort of thing. I just gotta get used to it. It's the point. I prefer it when I got tiny bodies and big heads.
Yeah, I like the chibi look for the
Yeah.
overworld graphics.
Because that's
Personally.
Pokemon. It's been like that practically every generation up until this point. And I know it's the change can be a scary thing. Well, not scary, but it's not that dramatic.
No, change
But,
is scary, John. Let's not have any games change ever.
You're right. We should have babies. No, is that not where this conversation is going?
Yeah. Actually, why don't we save Zelda for last, because that's probably going to be the game that we talk the most about.
Yeah.
So
right.
let's talk about what the other stuff. There isn't much that Nintendo brought other than Zelda, so it should go quick. They did show Pokemon Go, if we're going to keep on Pokemon, and Pokemon Go looks pretty bad, honestly. Like,
I don't care.
I don't care. I don't mobile game.
It's not going to have the depth of the main games, and it's just kind of so whatever.
It's just, is it all right? I didn't watch any of the tree. I tuned out when Pokemon Go was the subject, and you just go around different places. And
yeah, it's you walk around. Like occasionally, your phone will buzz. Oh, there's a Rattata. You flick the ball at the Rattata and you catch it. As far as I can tell, you can't battle. Trading's going to be patched in. Later non-Gen 1 Pokemon are going to be patched in. Honestly, the models do not look great, and the footage that they had on screen, like on the stream, stuttered a lot too. So
so it's not optimized.
it looked very unimpressive. It's not. I knew when I saw that trailer that that's not going to be the full game. It's not going to be being able to catch Pokemon in the real world. We're not getting that. I would love to get that someday. Hopefully not wearing the stupid VR headset, but I'd love to get that someday.
Oh, we're totally wearing the VR headsets for that.
Damn it. But yeah, Pokemon Go, completely unimpressive to me. So,
More like Pokemon Go away.
Yeah. Pokemon Go should just go.
So I guess we should go on to
Play off.
well, there's one thing about Pokemon Go I want to mention is that wristlet thing is $35 just for the wristlet, and that's as much as a normal Pokemon game. Let's just take that into consideration. And also, like, I thought that all you do is you press the button and it flashes different colors if you caught it. Like, what's the point of that? Because it's like, oh, it flashes rainbow. What you would do if you caught the Pokemon is instantly take out your phone to check what you caught. And if that's the case, why don't you just play the game with your phone?
Yeah,
and
use the phone.
Yeah, and second off, what's the excitement in catching something that you don't know what it is? Because it's not like you're ever going to be able to catch like Moltres with the wristlet. You're gonna catch Rattata with the wristlet. So, yeah, Pokemon Go just seems really disappointing. But what was actually, we missed a game, because there were two games that Nintendo did actually show, two new games that were not announced before, so, yay! Yeah, that's a lot of games, Nintendo. There was Ever Oasis, which we have on the list, but not mentioned on the list was the new Mario Party game for 3DS, Mario Party Star
That
Rush.
stole its cover art from a can of SpaghettiOs.
Yeah,
I saw that.
Yeah. Yeah, but, did any of you guys watch the gameplay of that?
I have not.
No.
Nope.
I have no
I
interest.
learned of the game from a throwaway tweet, and I just that's a thing.
They it's like it's not online and doesn't play like the old
Well,
Mario
they
Party,
haven't
so nope, not interested.
Well, here's the thing. They haven't confirmed or deconfirmed online, so...
You know they're not going to.
It better... If there's no online, there's no point to playing the game at this point.
All of these one or two announcements of like, especially with like in Ever Oasis case, a new IP, just feels so underwhelming when there's no event to announce them. No digital event and no conference, and we just like, here's a new IP that we're going to show off. Oh, I would have liked a little more heads up on that, because no one in their right mind, unless you're Derek, is going to watch all 9 hours of the live stream at once.
I
just
watched.
not going to.
No, I didn't watch the entire live stream. I watched a lot of it though.
You can't at hour 7 or 8 say that, okay, now it's time for a game you've never heard of. Let's spend some time on that after you're burnt out.
Yeah, that's
it's sloppy.
It was I think, John, my game theory, is that
game theory.
they, as of like a month ago, their plan was just bring Zelda to E3, that's it. And then people got pissy and they realized, oh, I guess maybe that's not a good idea. So let's just like, I bet a lot of these games, like the Mario Party, Ever Oasis, um, these were things that they were probably going to show in a direct in a month or two, and they were just like, all right, we'll just bring them to E3, throw them in the suitcase, we'll just
Yeah,
set up some
but like
demos.
I don't want to shit on the game. Like everybody unanimously agrees that not having an event was a bad idea. But I don't want to shit on the games because we'll talk about Ever Oasis in a moment, but I do, since I'm the only person who saw Mario Party, I do want to say the game does look interesting. Because it's not the car gameplay, thank God. Instead, the main mode that they showed was called Toad Scramble. So everybody plays as a Toad, which means that if we ever do a Mario Party video about it, I gotta do this goddamn voice the entire time for every... God.
No
I
Toadette,
hate doing
though.
that.
Ruined forever.
No, yeah, but like everybody rolls the die at the same time and moves at the same time, which I actually think is very interesting because there is an aspect to traditional Mario Party where you are just kind of sitting around waiting for everybody to take their turn, which is a little bit boring. So it looked interesting. It seemed to combine the longer form mini games of 9 and 10, which I do like, and the more quick-paced singular board of the old Mario parties, which, it doesn't play like Blue Spaces, Red Spaces, 20 coin stars, but I think it's interesting and it's worth a shot, and it seems more promising than the car. And also, the new amiibo do look good. Like, I was wondering if they were ever going to do a Series 2 Mario amiibo, and...
Meh.
Yeah, there's Waluigi, Rosalina. Thank God they're reprinting Rosalina finally because Rosalina's Smash trophy amiibo. I figured they were never gonna reprint. So Daisy, waifu for lifu, yeah, and Boo is glow in the dark, which is really cool. So
Meh.
wah. And yeah, Waluigi too, I guess.
Meh.
Overrated dick.
Meh.
You're not gonna stop until we move on, aren't you?
Don't make me get Mario Party 2 in here.
The hell was that?
You'll see later.
Yeah. But Ever Oasis actually looked interesting to me.
Yeah, I like it. I like what I've seen of it.
You like it because it's cute.
No, okay, yes, but there are other reasons I like it. So it looks like the gameplay looks similar to like Fantasy Life and Final Fantasy Explorers. Like you go around, very simple action RPG combat. But what I like is that you have this Oasis that you basically the main character who you play as created, and your exploring also causes the Oasis to grow. So it starts out as just like pretty much uninhabited, and then I was unclear. I don't remember exactly how the mechanics work. But basically, as you do things, your home base grows. You'll get new shops. You'll get more people in your town.
From what I've gathered is like you don't buy equipment or whatnot. So what happens is, as far as I can tell, like you go into dungeons, you find stuff, you give it to your vendors. And like the people that come into your Oasis will buy stuff. Your vendors will make like these things that you gather from them, and then you use those to build. So essentially, you find the stuff that you're going to use for your characters, and the stuff that you find in dungeons, like loot that you would normally just sell, instead goes into building the Oasis, if that makes sense. The thing about it that made it look more interesting to stuff like Fantasy Life to me was that the dungeons seem to involve more puzzle solving, which makes it, I think it will feel less grindy than something like Fantasy Life, which was fun, but also very grindy.
Yeah, it got very grindy, but yeah. So I'm very interested. I hope the one thing I hope is that they managed to make the environment not feel samey, because it's set in a desert, but hopefully the dungeons have enough diversity so it doesn't feel like you're just walking in sand forever.
I hate sand.
It's dry and it's coarse and it gets everywhere.
Yeah.
I feel like I've seen the game already.
Yeah,
honestly,
iterations.
It's not here's the thing, it looks good, but it's not the exciting game that they needed to bring to E3.
Yeah, it was not, people heard new RPG, and I think this felt lackluster, because yes, it's an RPG, but it's more in the line of something like Final Fantasy Explorer or Monster Hunter, where it's, it's not like an epic RPG that people want. It's not like I Am Setsuna that Square presented, where it's like they love to say how this was, uh a return to the golden age of RPGs, but this was not that. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I had the problem where I played Fantasy Life, I enjoyed it, but I didn't know. I don't really want to go through that one of those games again. I've seen Final Fantasy Explorers, I've seen Monster Hunter. I saw this and I was just like, oh, it looks fine. I'll probably never play it.
yeah, I totally understand
Like
that. Yeah.
like a month from now, I'm not even gonna remember this game. Honestly.
Most likely.
Now I had to leave the day 2 of the Nintendo stream early because I had stuff to do that evening. How much of Tokyo Mirage Sessions did they show? Because that game is not only just coming out really soon, that's a game that's already done. Like, reviewers have
Yeah,
it.
we really don't even need to talk about it.
Like, it's just bizarre that their lineup was so shallow that they needed to bring a game that is practically already out and has been out in Japan for 6 months.
Let's bring out something. I don't care if it's just finished and it's about to come out real soon. Bring it out if we don't have it yet. But the little treehouse thing they had for it, they showed off like some optional bosses in these dungeons. They showed off a lot of the battle mechanics. They showed off Tarja from Fire Emblem Awakening. Tharja?
Tharja,
yeah.
There's an
Tharja.
H.
Tharja.
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 Tharja?
AKA overrated waifu. Yeah, I said
Tharja.
it. Come at
Tharja
me.
did nothing wrong.
Yeah, she did. She did everything wrong. Have you read her supports?
Tharja did everything right.
It's exactly the game you think it is. Moving on.
Yeah, it plays like
It plays
an
like
RPG.
Persona, it looks like.
Yeah, it plays pretty similar to Persona, and, except your personas are personas. Your personas are Fire Emblem characters.
Yeah. They did not need, I'm just going to say right now, I saw this game at PAX East, and from everything I've seen of it, they did not need Fire Emblem at all. Fire Emblem was just, like...
No,
and it's so shallow. Really. I dislike how they incorporated Fire Emblem in it, because where do they draw Fire Emblem characters from? Fire Emblem 1, which includes like Marth. Even though Marth I don't think is one of the personas. It's like
the only reference to Marth I see so far, and we haven't played the game yet, so no spoilers, please. Yeah, but the main character's like battle costume looks like Marth.
Yeah.
That's it.
And then Fire Emblem 13 because it's like popular and stuff. But I just feel like it's kind of, I don't know. If you were going to do one that was supposed to incorporate, if you're going to make a game that's supposed to incorporate Fire Emblem elements, I feel like they should have done it from more than like 2 games. I don't know actually if technically there are any characters from Fire Emblem 3, because that's the sequel to Fire Emblem 1.
Did you see the original trailer, like the one that came out like 5 years ago?
I don't remember if I ever saw that, no.
Okay, because that was a really it was just like art of Shin Megami Tensei characters, and like Shin Megami Tensei 1, 2, 3 characters, and a bunch of Fire Emblem characters, like from all across the series. And then it was just Shin Megami Tensei cross Fire Emblem. And then we heard nothing for like 2 years. I get the feeling that this is all just a theory, a game theory, if you will, but there was obviously massive changes in development, and they wanted to make a completely different game than what they originally set out to make, which is fine. But the problem is that they also advertised Shin Megami Tensei Cross Fire Emblem, and they were stuck with keeping Fire Emblem characters in the game.
Yeah.
That's obviously I've got nothing to support that, but that's my theory as to why the Fire Emblem presence feels very limited, because otherwise it just seems like Persona without Persona, other than that. So, which I mean is still a good game, so it's probably going to be fun, but...
Don't get me wrong, I think it will be a fun game. I just feel like it
is a
like
beautiful
a missed
game. I think it looks great.
Yeah.
I think it looks great on the Wii U. Some of the animations that happen are really awesome.
Yeah, it definitely looks really good. I can say from having seen it in person. And we didn't get to play, like, I say we, I mean, like, people playing the demo. We didn't get to see a lot of the dungeons or the environments, but the dungeon we did get to see was pretty cool. It was like a mall with these like giant mannequins that you could move their arms to get from like the first floor to the second floor. So yeah, it's cool looking.
Yeah. And I guess the only problem I might have is that, yeah, it seems like the Fire Emblem characters are just sort of there.
Yeah.
It doesn't really seem like it's not like a meshing of two worlds in a way that some other crossovers can be. And I don't have any problems with any supposed censorship because, oh no, some skimpy outfits have been given some cloth. Oh god.
I just think it looks, I don't, like, I'm surprised for one, because Atlas was the one who localized the game.
It wasn't just the localization. They changed some of the outfits in the Japanese version too, from what I hear. Like it was just changed from pre-release to post-release. That's
really?
how I understand the situation to be. If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong.
Yeah, I thought it was that they changed it from the Japanese version to the Western version, but I don't want to look that up right now. But yeah, Atlas did handle the localization for it completely. So that was for once not, you can't put that one on Nintendo of America localization decisions. But I just think it looks clumsy, Clement. Like I agree, like, okay, I don't like super care like how much cleavage Aversa has, but can you not just put like, is there something they could do that doesn't just look like there's just a fog in front of her boobs? Like,
okay, nothing will get worse than 4Kids Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. Okay, because for that dub, they literally plastered over like bathing suits over the women when they were in the hot springs, and for jars of booze, they like plastered over badly. Like you can clearly tell that it's taped on there. Pasted like hot sauce bottles over booze. It's awful. But
my favorite is editing the guy who always has a cigarette in his mouth from One Piece. Editing that.
To the lollipop.
Yeah. But anyways.
Yeah, but we've been talking a lot about a game that's almost out. Oh god, no, actually, the next game on the list is Paper Mario, so why don't we go back to Fire Emblem? Oh god.
I think it's a pretty game. I think it looks pretty good, some of the effects that happen in it.
Graphically, yes, the game looks very nice. But it's Sticker Star 2. Why don't we just leave it at that? Because...
And there's this big controversy right now, because, like, I think they went on record as saying, like, Mario and Luigi is the RPG series from now on, because we think we can do something more interesting with Paper Mario. We can't have two RPGs.
Oh, but okay, here's the thing that frustrates me, is that Paper Mario and Mario and Luigi do not play very similarly at all. I mean, superficially, they are similar in that, oh, they're RPGs. Oh, you've got action commands. But in terms of the moment-to-moment gameplay, they're very different in that Mario and Luigi is a game where the action commands mean a lot more than the strategy, and Paper Mario is a game where the strategy means an awful lot more than the action commands. Because in Mario and Luigi, being good at action commands means that being good at jumping over attacks and whatnot means you can never get hit ever. Whereas in Paper Mario, you're always going to take damage, so which attacks you use are more important, and getting action commands right means taking less damage and dealing more damage. So, really, in a lot of ways, Paper Mario is more of an RPG than Mario and Luigi. Not saying that either one's better than the other. I prefer Paper Mario personally. But they're different. They're different kinds of games. We can't have both. We do not need to make Paper Mario a boring action adventure where you don't need to fight anything. It's actually beneficial to walk around everything. And it seems to have all the same problems that Sticker Star has, where there's no incentive to fight anything. You can solve all the puzzles just by smashing your hammer at stuff. And there's no charm. There's none of the original characters. Everything's paper. Oh god. This game probably pisses me off more than anything Nintendo has done in years. So I'm just gonna stop it and not talk about it anymore.
Would you say it was an injustice? No, wait, that's not...
Yeah, we can't segue to that.
I was gonna say we need to talk about Zelda.
We do need to talk about Zelda.
I never played Sticker Star.
Don't play Sticker Star. You don't
I had
need
to at some point.
No, you don't need. Here's the thing: you don't need to play Sticker Star because the best way to play Sticker Star is to not play Sticker Star. If you're playing Sticker Star, you don't want to fight enemies because all you get from fighting enemies is coins. All you use to buy with coins is stickers. What do you use stickers for? To fight enemies. So since you find stickers on the ground, you're best off just saving them from boss battles and not fighting anything. So you just backtrack a lot back and forth to get all the stuff you need to solve to get through the environmental puzzles that only have one solution. You don't need to play Sticker Star because the best way to play Sticker Star is to play as little Sticker Star as possible. Fuck that game.
Okay, so I'm gonna play Sticker Star.
Damn it, John. I tried to warn you.
Color Splash, I'm on the same boat. I think looks gorgeous as a Paper Mario game. A bit of me doesn't like, and I'm not sure if Sticker Star introduced this because I've rarely seen anything for Sticker Star, is the white outlines under a paper.
That was new from Sticker Star, yes.
From Sticker Star. I don't know, like
they're paper.
Yeah, I get it. I do. But it's like, I don't know why. It's like animation quality just seems to be worse than Thousand Year Door, where characters were paper thin, but they weren't, actual paper.
They want them to look. They make them have less frames of animation on purpose to make them look more like paper crafts. I get it too, but I agree with you in that I would rather them keep the paper aspects muted like they were in Paper Mario, where like yes, you could turn into a paper airplane to like the thing about Paper Mario that was charming to me is that everybody was made of paper, but nobody really brought it up, which made stuff like being cursed to turn into a paper airplane funny because it's just like, oh, you're not supposed to be able to do that. Where
we know how you feel about Paper Mario. Let's stop already.
Yeah, I know. It's also like 1 a.m, so let's just keep on going. Zelda.
Gee, kids, do you like Skyrim?
It looks good. I will say. I get why Nintendo thought that they could only bring this to E3 because the game does look very, very good. It looks damn good actually. Like everything, I watched a lot of the Treehouse footage. Everything about it looks really impressive. The scope does seem real. At the same time, I get it, and it does look great. But it's not the only thing you bring to E3 good. It's not like substantially better looking than Horizon, for instance. So that's really just my big takeaway from it. Is that
it's just really odd for me. I think the game looks gorgeous. I'm very anxious to see how the game folds out, but what they're selling, in my honest opinion, is not that much of a big deal because they're essentially going...
like I said, it's Skyrim.
Yeah, it's Skyrim. They're going Elder Scrolls with Zelda, which has already been done since the early 2000s.
Which is fine. I'm sure it'll be a fun game. It's just It's not new.
But is it killer app? In my opinion, like, to me, to how do you sell this to non-Zelda players? I'm not seeing it. Like, I'm not seeing it at all.
So, as the resident non-Zelda player, I didn't bother watching the trailer because I'm just not... It's like if I wanted to play from my perspective, like, I have some interest in Zelda because obviously it's a huge franchise. It's a very historic series, but if I am looking at it and it's like, okay, like everyone's saying like it's super open world. I mean, there are other games I can play that are open world that, I don't know. It just I'm not.
Did you not even watch like the 3-minute trailer at all?
No.
Well, you need to watch the trailer in order to have an opinion on the game. Like
a question I ask: do you think by Zelda embracing the open world nature of a lot of Western RPGs or Western games today, does it risk losing itself?
I don't know. That I think is a better question for a fan of the series. But Ted, what I'm saying is, I'm hearing people saying I have had not really much interest in the standard Zelda formula, so I didn't bother to watch the Treehouse livestream, in part because I didn't want to see all these people from Nintendo being so hype about this game and me just being like, I didn't want to feel like that. So
Look, yeah, I understand not watching, like, because really, when it comes to the Treehouse live stream, you can get a good idea of what Zelda's like by watching one of the half-hour segments. Like, any one of those, you can watch. I recommend watching the first one, because that's where Bill Trennan is playing, and he's pretty funny when playing. Like, at one point, like, he just stacks up a bunch of explosive barrels and throws a flaming club at it, because, I don't know. So, I recommend, if you want to look at what the game's like, just watch the introduction 30-minute demo that they do, because that's a good look at what the game's like just in general. You don't need to watch like all 8 hours of Zelda. But here's the thing, from what I've watched a lot of this stuff, and it does still feel like Zelda in the sense that there's a lot of mini dungeons hidden around, and those dungeons do have, like, they're centered around a certain item. Like, they have got these runes on the little tablet thing Link has, so like you can move metal stuff, you can make bombs, you can create like ice pillars, and you solve puzzles in a similar way to other Zelda games. It's really kind of the connective tissue that has been drastically changed, and whether or not that ends up, it looks promising, I will say. It's just whether or not it ends up being special when you compare it to something like an Elder Scrolls is different. But at the same time, I do think that you should at least watch the trailer before saying that you're uninterested, because saying that you're uninterested because you didn't watch the trailer because you're uninterested is circular logic to me. So it's not a long trailer.
I would say I would describe it more as that I'm not terribly interested in the Zelda franchise. You know,
it doesn't.
Then okay, that's fine, but it's kind of a, well, what's there to talk about then?
Yeah, I'm just saying this hearing that it's open world doesn't sell me on it. You know, I'm not a fan of the series. I think Nintendo made a bad move this E3. So
I had a weird reaction with Zelda, because at first I was actually really digging a lot of it. I was digging so many of the aspects. I like that Link had a whole bunch of different armor he could equip. Like, it's interesting he's not wearing the green tunic. He's wearing like a blue shirt. You can wear a villager outfit. You can get him in a full set of armor. You can have him in just his trunks when he's swimming around.
He's wearing a samurai outfit in, like, they show a brief little snippet of later game stuff, and he's wearing like a samurai outfit at one point.
Yeah. It was interesting to me that he was picking up different weapons and stuff. Like, he'd use like one of the Moblin's clubs and then like a sword, and they would break after a while, so you couldn't use them forever, so you had to keep switching out weaponry. I like that right off the bat, you're in Hyrule and you're allowed to go wherever you want. There's no real direction. They don't just, I mean, there might be a guideline with like that old man or whatever, but like
they did say that there are towns and NPCs in the game. They just didn't have them in the demo because they didn't want to talk story. That's
yeah.
I didn't really see any of that as, you know, oh my god, look what he can do, because he could sort of already do some of that shit in Wind Waker, like carrying other enemies' weapons.
Yeah, but
like,
not nearly as extensively.
Yeah, not nearly as extensively, but, you know, using other enemies' weapons and beating the shit out of them with it, or lighting things on fire. I feel like I've seen that already in Zelda, so I was like, I mean, that's pretty cool, but it's not, oh my god, you have to buy this game 3 times now.
Yeah. But, you know, I was digging, like, the fact that he was collecting a whole bunch of things. I liked you could go wherever you want. I liked that you could snowboard on snow with your shield, which I thought was pretty
cool.
Fun. That was great. And, you know, it was really winning me over. I thought, like, this is going to be such a departure from what Skyward Sword was. This is going to be so interesting, so really, really great. But as time passed, and I kept watching all of the Treehouse stuff, and then I kept learning more information about the game. Stuff like, you can apparently get to the final boss as early as you want. Like, apparently you can go right to the final boss and try and beat him with your low-level sword strength or hearts or whatever, and potentially beat the game. And I was like, really?
Yeah, well, you're not gonna, unless if you dodge every attack perfectly, you're not going to win, though, is the thing. Because from what I've seen, the game actually looks pretty challenging. In that, like, you start with 3 hearts, and the bigger enemies, like the weird ones with all the legs, their attacks do 8 hearts of damage, apparently.
Uh-huh.
So,
but it begs the question: if that's true, let's just say that he's not just blowing smoke up your ass with that statement, or maybe you're just talking about the E3 demo specifically or the full game. What
Mhm.
kind of structure does this game have?
Yeah.
It has a whatever you want to do kind of structure, which
Yeah, I
is
know, but how does that? I mean, because I know I'll be the first to say that I think Zelda stories are often not more complicated than Mario stories, where you rescue a princess and get a Triforce of Courage and sort of thing like that. So it's not asking for much, but how do you set up a story with a setup like that?
It's yeah, that's what I mean. Like it sounds like there's not much story going on here where you're just finding trinkets and then you're just beating Ganon, and this is very much like the original Zelda
Yeah,
where you meet an old man, he gives you a weapon, you go off, you beat Ganon, the end.
exactly.
Um and it's weird because like I just kept hearing more about it, and it's like you're rarely gonna run into people. Like there are towns, there are NPCs, but there's a lot of green, and there's a lot of just you running through the woods and finding stuff, and you have to stumble on dungeons and stuff. And I like that aspect, but it's like, is this game shallow? Is there enough to this game? Like it's gonna be fun running around for a while, but after a while it kind of gets repetitive
You
and
want to kind of get to the point.
yeah. And when it's sometimes with 3D Zelda games, it's nice to have some set pieces. It's nice to have some kind of structure so that you can have a ginormous dungeon or
okay. So from what I've heard, this is what they've said. The game has all these little shrines, which are the ones that they've shown on the stream. Those are like the little mini dungeons, and you get stuff for beating them. Like the guys in the stream gave you like a little orb that we don't know what it does. But there's apparently bigger dungeons that are supposed to also be in the game, which I assume will give you a much more meaty reward. So, like, I'm sure that there's more structure to it, but I think it's structure in the same way that Skyrim has structure. In that, from what I've told, you can get through the main story in that game pretty quickly as well, but it's dicking around and doing side missions and stuff that most people spend the most time with. I think they're taking that same sort of approach here, and I think if it worked for that, I mean, they're very similar, obviously. So if it worked for Skyrim, I think there's no reason why it shouldn't work for Zelda.
yeah. It's just I started off so high because I was really liking the open world aspect, and then I started going down low because I was like, I really wonder if this game's going to have a lot to do. I really wonder if the dungeons are going to be worth it or
All the
whatever.
right things to do, I would stress,
Yeah.
because to me, if you can say like, oh, this game is gonna have 200 plus hours of gameplay. Oh, great! They don't tell you that 190 hours of that is just hunting down for moblin ass cheeks, so that you can fix your shield.
And that was one of the things I hated about Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain. You know, a lot of people like that game. I didn't like it because I found it got really repetitive doing the same kind of things over and over again.
That game didn't need to be 60 hours in the first place.
No. And the missions where you have to repeat them, but now they're slightly harder. It just felt
Yeah.
like padding and stuff, but
I'm hoping Zelda Wii U is not like that. I'm hoping I hope it's a meaty adventure for the right reasons, and not because we're just going to add a fuckload of steps between what you do normally in Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, and such, and just try and sell it as an open-ended adventure.
I think it looks personally, I think it looks good, but not this is the only game you bring to E3 good. Because again, there's similar experiences on the show floor already with Horizon and other games of that caliber. And also, again, like not everybody's interested in this kind of game. Open world games aren't for everybody. So what do you have for what do you basically it's for what Nintendo said this year is if you don't like Zelda, what else do we have? We have Mario Party and we have Paper Mario and we have like one small kind of interesting looking RPG and that's about it. So
Hashtag fire.
I
Hashtag fire emblem.
I am cautiously optimistic about Breath of the Wild. Here's why I'm cautious about it. The game wants to harken back to Zelda 1's non-linearity, and that's fine. But I asked the developers, do you think there's a reason you guys haven't done that in over 30 years after Zelda 1? Maybe the game needs that sort of linearity or structure to be that grand adventure that everybody loves playing. Because when I often hear people talk about Zelda, it ain't Zelda 1 they're talking about. It's Link to the Past. It's Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
It's Majora's Mask. It's Link Between Worlds. It's almost never Zelda 1.
And the openness of Link to the Past, it's not... I mean, it is kind of open world, but it isn't, because, like, you still have guidelines where, you know, you can get any of the crystals in whatever order you want, and you're allowed to just look like, oh, I want to check out the Lost Woods just cause, or I want to check out, you know, this area just cause, and then you find, like, a piece of heart, and that feels like a reward. That feels like my exploration got me that ice rod that I wouldn't have found the ice rod otherwise, because I chose to go in this cave over here and stuff. I don't know, it's easier when Link to the Past isn't so wide in scope, and...
Yeah, it's easier to digest.
Yeah, I'm conflicted how to feel, honestly.
Yeah, yeah, it's... Because for all we know, Breath of the Wild could have that same sort of setup, like Link to the Past, but it's like Breath of the Wild's world is so much bigger.
Here's how I see it, is that they've got smaller stuff for smaller exploration. Like, you'll be finding little things all over the place, and occasionally you will find, like, a piece of heart, or whatever. But it's just more spread out. The looking for stuff, it's like, oh, cool. It's not just like, oh, cool, I found a piece of heart. It's, oh, cool, I found this really good armor that will, or like, ooh, I found a good shield, or something like that. Because that was one thing about Twilight Princess that bothered me, is that, like, 70% of the time when you found a hidden thing, it was just rupees, and I was like, oh, big whoop. So, yeah, it's interesting. Like, I definitely think the fatigue played a part of it, because that's all they showed for, like, 8 hours. So, obviously, you're going to get bored of Zelda if you watch it for 8 hours. Like, that's just how it works. So, yeah. My only real hope with Nintendo is that whenever the hell they do their NX demonstration event thing, which you know they're going to do,
They can't get here soon enough.
that there's good-looking launch software and there's good-looking software outside of the launch window. Because I cannot...
Let's hope so.
I really don't want to have to deal with another Nintendo console where I have to wait 3 months in between tiny releases. Because that shit's getting pretty old, and I'm tired
At this point, I almost want Nintendo to be like Sega and just be a third party.
Oh, no, please don't. Can we not start that conversation right now?
All right, I'm not going to start the conversation, but...
Yeah,
It's like I kind of want to get some sleep before I fly out.
yeah. Anyway, fun fact, during this whole discussion, I cleared over 4,000 lines in Tetris DS.
Oh, you fucker.
Yeah.
If I knew you were gonna, like... I probably should have popped in Final Fantasy 14, but then again, you guys would be able to hear all my keyboard clicks. I shouldn't do that. Tempting, but no.
So, yeah, there were some other games that they showed, but since it's like, it is almost 1 a.m, so we're going to wrap it up.
I'll just say Dragon Quest looks awesome.
Dragon Quest VII, I really want it. Telltale Walking Dead Season 3. I'm all on that.
And I've been playing the Persona series all 6 months or so I'm looking forward to Persona 5 big time.
Shantae looks great too. And
yeah, the trailer looked really nice.
John, Kingdom Hearts, does it look as stupid Kingdom Hearts as normal?
I will say, one thing I will say, I think 2.8, the PS4 portion of it anyway, where you're controlling Aqua, looks great. Can't wait to see what the entirety of Kingdom Hearts 3 looks like whenever that comes out, 20XX. And Kingdom Hearts 3D, I have very mixed feelings about that game as a Kingdom Hearts tale, but goddamn, it looks great 60 frames per second on the PS4. I saw footage of that.
Oh, actually.
And now, what's up?
Okay, I just remembered, I'm going to go back to Zelda for a minute. The Wii U barely handles that game, because the frame dropped constantly during the streams, and there was pop-in for, like, the environment stretched out a long time, but, like, interactable objects popped in all the time in Zelda. So,
yeah.
The game looks good, but I can't wait to play the NX version and not the Wii U version. I wanted to amend my opinion about that because I forgot to mention it.
If you haven't gotten Kingdom Hearts 3D yet on the 3DS, don't. If you have a PS4, get it there, because look, I try not to come off as a graphics whore when I can. I'm all about gameplay, but there is something very very attractive about 3D running at 60 frames per second on the PS4. It just looks great, and uh, I'm gonna get 2.8 regardless because it's my holdover before 3 gets here, and I'm gonna have to play the fucking game so I can make some sense out of 3. But it it looks like it'll it held my interest long enough. That's all I'll say about that.
So, final thoughts on E3 as a whole. I thought it was good. Yeah, like a lot of stuff that looks good that I'm not super interested in. Nintendo is disappointing, but at least the games that they show, Zelda at least looks like a good game, so that's a plus. So, but yeah, overall, yeah.
I'm glad I have a 3DS. I'm glad I have a 3DS. I want a PS4. I don't currently care about Nintendo home consoles.
No, the Wii U is a dead console. Like there are 2 releases coming out on it. There's Paper Mario and Tokyo Mirage Sessions. Those are the only things that are coming out before Zelda, so I can't blame you for that.
I thought Microsoft delivered. I thought Sony really delivered. But I tell you, man, it felt really empty with Nintendo having such a lackluster presence this year. And I hope to God they learn from this. If reception to it was lukewarm, because who knows? I mean, people may really just enjoy the whole treehouse approach.
Zelda seemed to be received well from what I've looked up, but
yeah,
other than that, there was nothing there.
But it's like after like maybe an hour of treehouse footage, I close tab, open up a new tab, do something else in my life.
Yeah,
because I'm sick of seeing Zelda already.
Yeah,
and I like it when they showcase a bunch of new games at once, or just give us updates on games that we only know so little about, and then focus on that on Treehouse Live, because that's what we watch Treehouse for, not just for one game, but for a lot of games, to get us interested in these titles, because, let's face it, Nintendo's always been behind in console horsepower between Microsoft and Sony, so they need to rely on live streams and digital events to showcase their software, and they didn't do that this year, and I really felt that void of nothing there, and they can hype up Zelda all they want, that's great, but what about people that don't like Zelda? What about people that don't care about Paper Mario? What do they have to look forward to? And the answer is not a goddamn thing. At least for E3, anyway. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's stuff on the way, but tell us about that sort of thing. And they didn't. So, there's a big black hole there, and I gotta say, this E3 as a whole suffered because of that. And it's just hoping that next year, 2017, looks better. I'm hoping it is. I got a good feeling it is. Just to be optimistic here, I got a good feeling 2017's E3 is going to be pretty good, if only because by that time we'll already have the NX and they can start going into their launch window of titles. I want to see, why are they sacrificing their time and money for 2016 to focus on NX's launch? What do they have in store for that console? And will it knock me off my socks? And I'm hoping the answer is yes, it better goddamn better. Because the Wii U is all but dead at this point, as you guys just mentioned. It is very obvious at this point, even Nintendo has seemed to have accept that. So why should I look forward to the NX? And I'm telling you, Zelda is not a good enough reason by itself. I need more than that.
Mm-hmm. And for me, I'm a loyal PlayStation 4 player, because I've been playing the hell out of that, because the Wii U hasn't been doing much for me. And I got a lot of great announcements. I'm looking forward to Detroit, no matter David Cage's quality. Horizon, God of War, Spider-Man, the Insomniac one, Persona 5, Deus Ex, blah, blah, blah. There's so many PlayStation games I'm looking forward to playing. So when the Sony conference happened, I got really happy with the events. Nintendo was underwhelming, but I felt overall there was a lot of stuff that I can't wait to play in the future. So I still enjoyed my time watching E3, and I can't wait to live tweet next year, being snarky once again.
That's the best part of E3. Let's not lie to ourselves.
Memes. Goddamn memes.
Yoko Taro came back.
Who?
The moon face guy from Nier.
Moonface.
Oh, okay. All right. Da 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 da.
That-